Good morning, everyone. It is the 11th of June, 2024. Hope you're all doing well. I finally have some time again to work on my car. I just received my axle shaft back from my mechanic yesterday. Took him almost a week. He just kind of squeezed it in around his other priorities, but my new axle shaft bearing is installed now. Right here, it's good and tight, no wiggling or anything. So I'm going to install that first thing this morning. That's my first priority. It won't take long to get that on. Then take it for a test drive, and hopefully any noise coming from the back will be done. Some other things I've been working on. A couple of my subscribers now actually have contacted me. They both live in Maryland, asking for help on their 67 and 66 convertibles. So one of them lives in Catonsville. That's David Ramsey. So I got to meet him last weekend. That was a lot of fun. He has an absolutely gorgeous triple black 67 Lincoln convertible that was given to him by an uncle, I think he said. It's just a beautiful car. He asked me for help on different things like the top operation, one of the windows not working, and some help under the hood. So I started last weekend. I've ordered some parts for him. Should go out to see him again in another week or two to install what I bought for him. So he encouraged me to make videos of that. So next time I go out there, I will. He even encouraged me to go for a ride in the car, which I would love to have done, but I want to get some repairs done on it first. So I'll do a video on that next time I go out there. Another gentleman by the name of Erman contacted me more recently about his ATC automatic temperature control box on his 66 Lincoln convertible. So I got him. I'm trying to connect him with Tony Bolin down in Florida, where I bought my replacement box, and I may get to see his car as well. He lives a little bit further away than David, but not that much further. So that'd be kind of fun to see another one. George Borelli is the person also in Florida who rebuilds these speed control servos. So he received my package yesterday and immediately started working on it, which I appreciate. He gave me an update. Said he got inside the box, found some corrosion in there, and he started to do some testing. He says he hopes he'll be able to get it working. I hope it's going to be more than a hope. But anyway, so that's exciting. Maybe get my cruise control working eventually. I also purchased a replacement flasher, turn signal flasher for this car. Found a new one on eBay. Should be getting it here in a few more days since I got that panel off anyway. Waiting for the clock as well. I have to go ahead and replace that flasher because mine goes really slow. The other thing I've been working on in the past week is getting all the parts and pieces I need to get my air conditioner working. Some things I realized I got that I didn't need to get. For instance, I have an assortment here of O-rings. It turns out Jeff Smith reminded me that all the fittings on this car are flare fittings. There are no O-rings as far as I know. I mean, I'm going to hang on to the O-rings anyway. It's good to have O-rings around. And I also have, of course, my refrigerant, R134A. I got 4 cans of this. I don't think I'll need 4 cans, but I wanted to have more than I needed. My new valves here to replace or supplement the ones that are on here now, going for the conversion from R12 to R134A. Got my little flush tank here that works in conjunction with an air compressor and some flush fluid, which I have purchased on Amazon. Fairly reasonable price. Have got my new receiver dryer here. Hopefully the proper fit and format. It looks like it is, so it should bolt right in. Looking at how to reach this thing, I don't know that I'm going to have enough room working from under the hood in the front. I may end up having to pull the front grill out of the way, remove it so I can have easier access to this. I'm definitely not going to remove the radiator. That's just too much work dealing with the cooling system and all that. So I do have one issue that's not resolved yet, so I'm going to walk back to the to my shed, show you what I'm talking about here. It has to do with the York compressor I bought through an eBay business. I don't remember the name of the business right now. It was advertised for Freightliner semi trucks, but it's the same compressor that works on these Lincolns, and it did say it would fit it. And when I got it, I realized, yes, the compressor will indeed fit. It is the same compressor, same dimensions, all that stuff. However, the way the clutch is set up, you can see how I've got them side by side here. There's an alignment issue. the single groove on the new one is way too far forward that way. So this is the original. I would have loved to have reused this clutch, except it doesn't work. That's why I wanted to get one with a new clutch. So I'm working with the person that sold it to me to see if they have some suggestions. I asked them, could I possibly take this off, flip it around so it looks more like this one, if that might work or not. I don't know if that's possible or not. May not work, may not be designed to be reversible like that. The funny thing is, when I first purchased this, their default unit is a double pulley. So if I had just stuck with that, if I hadn't noticed it, I bet the inside pulley would have lined up just fine. And I would have just had to live with the extra pulley, which I could have done because the price on this was reasonable, especially with the clutch on it. So I'm waiting for a response from them to see what I can do. I mean, worst case scenarios, I may just have to hang on to the compressor and buy another clutch. And the only place I think I can get one from easily is Old Car Clearance. They're working on rebuilding another one right now. So it'd be an additional expense, but at least I know it would work. The other thing I noticed is that they do have a sticker on here that indicates it is meant for R134A, and it's pre-filled with oil, but it's ester oil instead of PAG oil. And I did find out that ester oil is in fact compatible with R134A, so that makes sense, as that's what they have on their sticker. Originally, I was going to drain the oil out of here and put in PAG 100, but I don't think I need to now, so I'll probably just return the PAG oil that I bought and go from there. So I'm working on getting ready for that air conditioning project. I'm not going to start on it though until I have everything I need, like that compressor issue I just showed you worked out before I start. I'm also going to be renting one of those vacuum pumps and manifold gauge sets. Some of these things I've never done before, such as working with a manifold gauge set and whatnot. So I'm learning as I go here, and I wanted to share too that a couple of my subscribers sent me some great written advice, like this one here. There's a full sheet of writing here that Jeff Smith sent me. He's an expert on early 60s Lincolns and Thunderbirds, and he's done this a few times himself, and he just gave me a step-by-step, beautiful procedure to use. And Brian Scheibel also sent me some comments via YouTube on what he recommended. So I really appreciate it, guys. That kind of advice is valuable and gives me the confidence to try this on my own. So we'll see how this goes. But right now I'm going to put this axle shaft back on here and take this baby for a spin, see how she does. So I was getting ready to install my shaft into the hole here, and I just happened to notice when I looked inside the bore here, there's a spring there. That spring is, I'm assuming, from this brand new seal. Now you may recall when I installed this seal, I started off a little crooked because I wasn't using the correct size of seal installer, the shim or whatever. It was a little bit too big and it went in crooked. And I have a feeling when that happened, that spring must have popped off. So what I'm going to attempt to do is just reach in there with my fingers and see if I can get it back onto the seal. Because I think if I try to pop the seal back out, I'll probably damage it where it won't really be usable. So I'm hoping that I can recover this. Otherwise, that sets me back for as long as it takes to get another seal. So we'll see how this goes. All right, it's about an hour later. I took some time to attempt to put that spring back in place behind the seal while it was still in there. I just couldn't do it. It's just too hard, not enough room in there. I sliced my finger trying to work with those sharp edges around the seal. So I went to Advanced Auto Parts. They can't get one for several days, and it's like $20 because I had to pay for shipping, special order. So I just ordered one on Amazon instead. Free shipping with my Amazon Prime, and it'll be here Thursday. In the meantime, I'm going to attempt to reuse this. That's why I popped it out. I had to rent the removal kit again. But the seal is damaged. I mean, it's not severe, but it's damaged enough that I'm definitely going to want to replace it later when I get the new one again. But I'm just going to insert that spring back where it goes on the reverse side here, and then put it back in the bore so I can get this axle shaft in there and at least take it for a test drive. Then later on, when I get the new seal, I'll check to see if this is leaking or not. If it's not leaking, I may ignore it for a while. But if it is leaking, then I'll have to replace it right away. So I'm just going to put that spring back on the seal and then pop the seal back in the bore. So now with the seal in my hand and the spring, it's a simple matter of stretching this little spring back around the lip It's as simple as that. It's already on there. Is it on all the way though? Yeah, I believe it is. It's that simple. Now I can definitely see that the seal has been damaged, but when I push it in and the axle shaft is sitting in here, it should grip the shaft pretty well, at least good enough for a few days until I can put a new seal on it. Hopefully I actually had the angle right on that. The spring is back in place around the edge of the seal. Hopefully it stays, because I definitely see some damage on this seal. Hopefully this will be good enough. And I've already made sure I have the right size shim to install this, which I didn't do the last time, which is what caused this whole mess in the first place. If I had the correct size piece here, the installer part would never have gotten to this point where I damaged the seal. So hopefully when I punch this in, the spring won't pop off again. It might, and if it does, then that's going to end this, and I'll just have to wait for a new seal. So let's see what happens here. Okay, it's in. Let's make sure the spring is still there. I don't see it laying loose, so it must still be in place. Okay, so now finally we're to the point where I can actually slide the shaft in there. I'm going to put a little oil on the outside of this O-ring that's right here. An extra sealing part that the original bearing didn't have. Some of the aftermarket bearings have this O-ring and some don't. Doesn't really matter. So now just have to carefully slide this in there, not damaging the seal. Get it to engage the splines. There we go. Okay. All right. So at this point, I'm going to take a hammer and tap this all the way in until the retaining plate reaches the bolts, so I can just take it in the rest of the way. Alright, so I'll keep working on that for a minute. And this thing's not working again. Do I have it on? Yeah, but oh well, whatever. Alright, I'm just finishing cinching up the retaining plate. I've done 3 of the 4 nuts, and I'm just rotating the shaft here, or the axle, so I can get to the last one. Okay, so the retaining plate is now secure. Now I'm going to put the drum back on, the wheel, do a little house cleaning, and then we'll take her for a spin. Let's see how we do. And hopefully, the oil won't be pouring out of that damaged seal. I don't think it'll come out too bad, but I will definitely plan on replacing that seal when it comes in. Probably have to raise the car higher. Yep. So I'll work on getting the wheel back on and clean up a little bit. All right, good news. I just got back from a nice little test drive of my car after I inserted the axle shaft. The noise is gone. There's no clicking, there's no clunking. There is still a bit of vibration. I believe that's probably the drive shaft. So I wanted to take care of the bearing first to see what the result would be. So the results are good, but now I can reschedule that drive shaft balance with my mechanic. I'm going to go out and do a quick job in a nearby town to deliver a letter, and I'm going to take the car and see how she does on that little trip. But it's nice. Only complaint I have right now are the brakes. Even though I redid the brakes, I reused the drums and the rotors, and I'm pretty sure it's the drums, but they are pulsating a lot when I step, especially when I do hard braking. So I'm probably going to be forced to buy new drums for the rear, even though they're a slightly different design than the original design. They do work, and I know I can get them from Mark II Enterprises and I think 1 or 2 other vendors as well. But not a high priority right now, but it's definitely something I'm going to want to do. So anyway, I'm just enjoying driving it right now. All right, that test drive, which I just did about 15 minutes at 65 to 70, didn't end up as good by the time I got off the freeway. I'm hearing that noise all over again from the back. So disappointed, and I'm getting seriously burned out. So I think I'm just not going to worry about that right now. This car is obviously not ready for any road trips. we'll go ahead and continue on with the air conditioning system when I get that stuff resolved. I don't know how long that's going to take before I do that. Kind of wrap things up. I have got to take a step back because I'm really getting burned out from this. I've done so much work on this car, spent so much money. I just gotta take a break from it. So I'm going to slow things down. I'll probably continue to drive the car just locally, short trips around town, that kind of thing. But any road trips are not in the picture in the near term. So I'm wrapping it up for now. All right, I'm wrapping this video up for the day. I drove the car quite a bit today. The last trip was about 15 minutes on I-95 at 70 miles an hour. By the time I got off, the noise was back, the same noise that was there before. So perhaps I didn't need to replace that bearing after all. I still think the bearing needed to be replaced, but apparently that wasn't the main source of the noise. I'm beginning to think that there's either something wrong with the transmission internally or with the rear axle. What's interesting is this noise doesn't come, and it's been this way all along, until I've driven the car a while, until it's really warmed up good, and after I've been doing some high-speed driving, and then it's there, and it's very noticeable, significant vibrations. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with the drive chassis. I rebuilt the CV joints. So I'm just going to kind of back off on this for now. I'm just not going to worry about it. I've put so much time and effort into this. I got to take a breather and recover from this. I will continue to work toward getting the air conditioning working, just because I've already started buying the parts and pieces I need for that. So I'll finish that up, and the other detail items that I've been working on, like the clock and the turn signal flasher, things like that. I'll finish those up. But these last items are major items, probably, especially if it's the rear axle or transmission, and I just don't have the space to work on that kind of stuff. So that may be a longer term thing. I also noticed, let me show you what I'm talking about here. I also realized that my solution for my gas tank pressure was not a good idea after all. You may recall several months ago, I drilled a hole right through the gas cap to provide a way for the pressure to not build up so much. Well, apparently it's been building up so much through that hole, it's running out while I'm driving, as you can see, on the side there, and that's not good. So that's another thing I'm going to have to address in the future sometime. Since I failed to get that vent tube on top of the tank unclogged when I reconditioned it, this is the result. So I'm going to have to deal with that at some future point. But anyway, not going to let it get me down. I'm just going to back off a little bit, do some other things, and I guess I'm not taking this car on any long road trips anytime soon. So anyway, have a nice day.